As leaders, it's imperative that you create a vision for yourself. But you also need to work with your team to create a vision for the year. By doing that, or in doing so, you have one holistic goal you are working towards and can reflect on at the end of every year. On this episode, I'll be sharing the steps you can take to create your leadership vision, and then I'll also be sharing my vision for the podcast for 2025. Let's do it. Leading as a woman is tough, but leading as a woman of faith is next level. However, it doesn't have to be that way. God has called you into this leadership role because He says you are worthy. You are His child, and if He qualifies you, who in this world can unqualify you? You might suffer from imposter syndrome and believe you're not good enough, but God says you are good enough. Hi, I'm Rika Whelan, Christian leader and workplace culture coach, and together we're going to navigate leadership with faith as our foundation. Let's get started. Grab your coffee or water, keep that notebook and pen handy, and let's jumpstart your leadership. Now, before we jump in, I would personally like to invite you to come and join our community of female Christian leaders. All of these leaders are navigating similar challenges of self-doubt, confidence, dealing with difficult people, feeling like they're inadequate and still viewed like that because they're a woman, and so many more other challenges. In this community, you can come and ask questions, you can come and interact not only with me, but also with the other female Christian leaders who are eager to help and support each other. Also, as an added bonus, once a fortnight, I'll be providing an extra leadership teaching right in the community that I won't be sharing here on the podcast. So if you want in, simply navigate to Facebook and search for Women of Faith in Leadership community, or go to womenoffaithinleadership.com and click on the Join the Community button. I look forward to seeing you there. Please make sure that you fill out the questions when you come in. And one of those questions is to provide me with your email address. And by doing so, I promise not to spam you, but to send you a weekly newsletter. So the weekly newsletter is going to be from me to you with love. All that this weekly newsletter will contain is just a new episode that's been published and a little bit more information. So maybe a little bit of extras about the episode, maybe an extra additional resource that I didn't share. So you definitely want to make sure you get on my list. The only way to do that is to come and join the Facebook group. If you don't have Facebook for whatsoever reason, then please can you send me an email at support@rikawhelan.com. Again, that is support@rikawhelan.com. And just let me know that you would like me to add you to the email list so that you can get my weekly newsletter. Okay, let's jump in. I'm super excited about this episode. Now, if you didn't listen to the last week's episode, which was episode number 92, I'd highly recommend that you do so. In this episode, we did a reflection on the year. We reflected on your individual growth, your team's performance, and your leadership effectiveness. And we'll be using that today in creating your vision. So if you've not done the reflection yet, then I highly recommend that you pause this episode now, go and do the reflection, and then come back again. Now, taking your reflection, I'd like for you to have a look at the things that didn't go so well this year. It's not very nice to always focus on those negative things, but the only way we can make improvements is by actually focusing on those things that did not go so well so that we can improve on them. The last thing I want for you is at the end of every single day, you drive home and you feel inadequate about this thing that you are struggling with. Let's say, for example, you didn't prioritize your mental and physical well-being last year. Well, the last thing I would like for you at the end of every single day is feeling absolutely mentally and physically drained because of your role. And feeling as if you just can't carry on, feeling as if you're about to head to burnout stations, okay? Burnout Island. I don't want that for you. So what I want you to do is, and that was just one example, we're going to look at a couple more, but what I'd like for you to do is to go and make a separate list of all the things that did not go so well last year. Okay, there might only be one thing on that list. There might be 15 things on that list. Doesn't really matter how many there are. There's no right or wrongs here. But after you've added them to a separate list, what I would like for you to do is to prioritize these from most to least important to work on. So let's say there's 8, then you can maybe just go and put a number 1 to 8 next to the ones that you would like to prioritize the most, 1 being the highest priority, 8 being the lowest priority. Now, let's see in these 8 or 15 or 20 or 1 idea that you have, if you can find an overarching idea or like an overarching focus, something that you need to work on. So let's say, for example, most of your list includes inadequacies regarding your leadership skills. Then you know that your overarching improvement will have to be leadership skills. So there might be various things on the list that is with regards to your leadership skills. It might be dealing with difficult people. It might be hiring and firing people, if that's part of your role as well. It could be dealing with your CEO, if you're a middle manager, dealing up. Maybe that's difficult for you. But all of that is all the overarching idea there is your leadership skills or your leadership. Let's say, for example, so I've got another example for you. It could be that most of your list includes a lack of boundaries. Then you know that boundaries is going to be that overarching improvement for the year. So some examples on that list might include things like exhausted every single day, feeling like a failure, trouble at home with the family because the family wants you to work less, or let's say, for example, your partner or your husband's pushing you to leave your job because they feel like so much of your time goes to work. So have a think about your list. And if I could read through your list, I would happily help you to come up with an overarching idea. And if you come and join the Facebook group, I'd like to actually invite you to do that. Come and share your list with me, and I will have a look for you to see what is your overarching idea. If this is something that you're really struggling with, maybe some of the other female Christian leaders in there can help you as well. If you feel too shy to maybe do it on the group, send me a DM. I'm more than happy to look over that for you and see what overarching idea we can come up with together. But then, so for example, let's say it's boundaries, then you know the boundaries are going to be the thing that you're going to be working on. And one more example is that you want to feel confident in your leadership in 2025. So let's say, for example, confidence is the biggest thing that comes up. So let's say, for example, dealing with difficult people, and you've written there specifically that you feel timid, or there's a lack of confidence or self-doubt in there. So yes, there might be 2 overarching ideas, because dealing with difficult people can be a leadership thing, but it can also be a confidence thing. So again, there might be 2 overarching ideas. There might only be 1. If there's 1 or if there's 2, you can maybe decide on, okay, maybe we're going to focus on leadership, but with a tinge of confidence, or you can put them together, becoming a confident leader. So yeah, it's all just going to depend on what your list contains and where you'd like to go with that. Okay. You also do need to feel a little bit uncomfortable with this. I'm not going to say you need to feel comfortable with this, because we cannot grow in our comfort zone. We need to feel a little bit uncomfortable with this. We need to feel like, oh, this is pushing me a little bit beyond where I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I don't want to push you to a place where you feel so out of your comfort zone that you're just going to give up. I also don't want that. There needs to be a bit of a balance of, okay, I'm really scared to do this, but I know I need to do this to be a better leader. Okay, so a little bit of discomfort is a very good thing. Okay, so your next step is going to be to write a vision statement. And you can brainstorm here a bit until you are completely happy with it. Okay, but make sure that your list above, or that overarching idea, is realistic, and that it's actually something that you can make improvements to. It can't be fluffy and not specific. It needs to be something that's specific, like leadership skills or confidence or boundaries. There's actually so many more things that can be an overarching ideas. Those are just the 3 that I'm going to go with for now. So vision statement can be something like, my vision for 2025 is to become a more confident leader. That's it. Or you can say something like, my vision for 2025 is to create boundaries between my personal and professional life, or to set boundaries with my team, or to improve my leadership skills and become a more confident or competent or better leader, or to feel more confident in my own leadership ability. So I gave a lot of variations of that vision. It's not one vision, it's a lot of variations of that same vision. So let's use that first one as an example. My vision for 2025 is to become a more confident leader. Okay, well then what I would like for you to do is you're now going to put that, if you like mind mapping, I absolutely love mind mapping. I would like for you to put that on an A3 paper or on a whiteboard in the middle. My vision for 2025 is to become a more confident leader. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to go and find out the how. How are you going to achieve this? Because remember, at the end of the year, we do want to go and reflect on that vision. And yes, a lot of that is going to be like, do I feel more confident? Okay. But you can actually tangibly check whether you were more confident or not, because we're going to tell you the how now. We're going to get to the how. And then at the end of the year, you're going to use that how to figure out or to reflect on, did I actually achieve this vision? Okay, it's very similar to a goal. And something that I would like to highly encourage you is to go and listen to episode 34. Episode 34 is going beyond boring goals with your team. Okay, this is the exact same process you can follow for yourself as well, because we don't want a boring vision, but a vision typically needs to be converted into a goal if you really want to achieve it. Okay, so what you're going to mind map is you're going to mind map a couple of bullet points or a couple of points around your vision on how you are going to achieve this goal. So for example, if it was boundaries or if it was time management, it could be something like the how is time blocking, or it could be something like leaving your laptop at work. Okay, that's scary. I know that that's very scary. But even if you just say, I'm going to leave my laptop at work 5 times a week or 3 times a week. So again, be specific, write it down. Maybe other nights you do have to take your laptop home, but maybe there's some nights that you don't have to and you can actually prioritize your family. So you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone here and just get it done. Okay. Okay. When it comes to your leadership skills, are you going to attend a leadership workshop? Okay, maybe you're dealing with difficult people, could be plan before every single meeting with a difficult person. Or for example, if a difficult person catches you, while you are, let's say, walking to a break or walking to your lunch break or something like that, and they've got something something to say to you and you don't know how to react, and then you react incorrectly, is your how is going to be not saying anything and just getting back to that person, or maybe having a line to say, I will speak with you later. I'm just about to go to my lunch. So something like that, but you're going to have to come up with a strategy of something that you're going to say, something that you're going to do, and then how you're going to do it. Okay. So for example, let's say one of your visions is to become a servant leader. Then the how is to prioritize your team's needs. But again, that's a very big thing to say. You're then going to have to say, but how are you going to do that? And then how are you going to make sure that your needs as a leader and the things that you actually have to do, how are you going to still get that done if you are serving your team in this manner? So be very specific here. That's why a mind map is really good, because you can map it all out, whether it's on a paper or on a whiteboard. If it's on a whiteboard, make sure you snap a photo before it gets rubbed out or wiped out. Maybe a piece of paper is a really good one, because then you can stick that somewhere. You can then transfer that over to, if you want, you can keep the mind map, or you can maybe just put it into a nice Canva document. Canva is a really amazing free software that you can use. There are some paid features, which I use, but before I actually paid for it, I used to use it in my work all the time. Just the free version is actually absolutely perfect. So you can put it in a nice Canva document. They have got thousands of free templates that you can use. You can put your vision, print it out, laminate it, make it pretty, put it somewhere where it's going to be easy for you to see on a daily basis. Okay, but just be mindful, because if you look at it every single day, it's going to become wallpaper and just background noise. You'll look past it. So my suggestion, and that's where I really highly recommend episode 34 with those goals, is because you're going to then follow the same steps that you would follow with your team. You're going to follow them with yourself. So, for example, have check-ins with yourself to see how are you going. Those hows that you've said that you were going to achieve, have you done them? And then with goals as well, we do need to set a time frame of when we're going to do that. So, for example, attending a leadership workshop. Well, it doesn't help you start thinking about attending a leadership workshop in July. Maybe you need to start thinking about attending a workshop in January so that you can see what workshops are out there for the year. Just maybe it has to do with your budget. In Australia, our financial year ends on the 30th of June. So I might go and have a look in March to see what money I have in my budget left and if I can afford it. If not, then I'm going to make sure before I submit my budget for July that I actually add a leadership course that I want to attend to my budget, or that I submit that to my line manager so it can be included in the budget. So keep these sort of things in mind. I wouldn't wait until the end of or until the middle of the year to start thinking about these things, because then it might actually be too late. In South Africa, the end of the financial year is March. So then maybe the beginning of the year is a good time to have a look to see if there's any money in your budget left. Maybe it's too late. Maybe you already needed to start looking. Maybe you're now going to have to wait until the new financial year to see if there's any allocation. If there's no allocation, well, then there's a lot of free courses you can actually also attend. There are some free courses out there, especially online. There's a lot of amazing YouTube videos. And of course, a lot of this podcast is similar to a leadership course. But I know that because it's a podcast, it won't really count for you towards those hours. So if a leadership course from me is something that you feel that would be a good, obviously it would be a paid course, then shoot me an email, support@rikawhelan.com. I might start thinking about creating a course if that's something that the listeners want. I'm not going to create something that is not wanted. I've got my time as well, and I want to respect my time, and I want to respect your time as well. Okay, so let's see. Go and set those due dates, create those action steps, and then keep yourself even more accountable. Okay, so that's going to be how you're going to create your vision for the year. And then at the end of the year, you're going to go and do the end of year review, which is the previous episode I did, episode number 92. Where you're going to go and ask yourself those end of year review questions, and you're going to apply that to your vision as well to see if you have actually met your vision for the year or not. Okay, the same process just goes over and over again every single year. It goes in a cycle. And that's the beauty of this process, because what you do this year is going to help you next year, is going to help you next year, is going to help you next year. So I'd like for you to follow the same process with your team. Okay. Go on. What you did in last week's episode is you did the team performance, where you had a look at their accomplishments, their challenges, and their team dynamics. Now go and report back to your team and say, this is what I found in my yearly reflection regarding our team's performance. How do you feel about that? Is this an accurate representation of what the team looked like last year? Then from there, let them do it. Identify those weak spots. And then from there, using those weak spots, prioritize what they want to focus on for next year, and then create that vision statement, and then mind map how that is going to be achieved. And then finally put it into a goal format, because if we have goals, we can be kept accountable for them. Okay, so this episode number 93, episode number 92, and episode number 34 is really going to be your go-to guide in terms of this vision statement and the goals. Okay, so I would like to share with you now, finally, my vision for the podcast for 2025. And it's interesting because I absolutely loved speaking to as many listeners as I possibly could. Thank you so much for those who reached out to me, who said that they were willing to speak with me. I actually just had someone reach out today to speak with me still. And so please keep them coming if you want to speak to me. Yes, I have created my vision for the year according to what everyone had said, and prayed over the podcast for the new year. However, the more I can speak to the listeners, the more I can actually tailor the content that I put out. So it's very interesting what similarities came out when speaking to the listeners in terms of you guys, those desires, those wants, those things that you really want as a leader, and those really big challenges that you are struggling with. Okay, so please email me support@rikawhelan.com if you're still willing to help me out and speak with me. I've got 4 easy questions for you to answer. Otherwise, come onto the Facebook community where we are an amazing group of female Christian leaders, and some of them are extremely active, but again, we're leaders, which means that we're busy. So I get it. I'm not expecting you to be on Facebook all the time, but it is a really lovely community. So you're missing out if you're not in there yet. Okay, so my vision with the Women of Faith in Leadership podcast for 2025 is to empower female Christian leaders like yourself to lead with confidence. And so confidence and self-doubt was something that came out nearly in every single conversation when I spoke to the female Christian leaders, the listeners of the show. Lots of the listeners are struggling with self-doubt. They struggle with men in the workplace, or confidence because other people are putting them down, or because they believe that they're not good enough, or that they believe that they're not worthy to be in that position. A couple of leaders also said to me that they don't know how to define their roles. They don't know what is the exact expectation of them because they've never been told before. So if you don't know what the expectation of you is, of course you're going to lack confidence. Of course you're going to have self-doubt in yourself because you don't know actually how to execute your role. So my role here as a podcast host for Women of Faith in Leadership is to help you to gain that confidence. I want to empower you to gain confidence in your leadership abilities. And yes, I am this person. If you're in America, I'm very far from you. I'm in Australia, but actually I'm right here with you. I'm in your earbuds. I'm in your car radio. And I'm a friend to you. I'm a leadership friend. I'm a leadership coach, and I'm your leadership mentor. So my real vision for 2025 is to connect more with the listeners so that you as the listener, I can empower you to lead with more confidence. But also, not only that, if you're already as a confident leader, that's great. But then to connect with you so that we can help other female Christian leaders to become more confident, because we are a community of amazing female Christian leaders. And we need to stand up for our faith, we need to stand up for our worth, and we just need to stand up in confidence. And so my how I'm going to do that is I've narrowed it down. My brainstorming session, I've basically put into 2 overarching ideas. So my vision was to empower female Christian leaders to lead with confidence, and the how is through biblical motivation and encouragement. So this is a faith-based Christian podcast, which means that for me, yes, I do share a lot of leadership strategies, but what makes this so unique is that that I'm coming from a Christian perspective, and I'm not going to share something that I don't believe that God has put on my heart or has taught me how to do personally. Because I think that's the one thing that I love most about my leadership journey, is that God has taken my hand, and I've made a lot of mistakes, which I share here for everyone. And thank you so much. A lot of you have thanked me for my honesty, and I'll keep on being honest with you. But it's only by the grace of God that I've come out on the other side, and that I'm able to sit here in this chair in front of this microphone today and record this very podcast and have more than 10,000 downloads on the show. We've not even reached 100 episodes yet, and we've got more than 10. We're now at 10,300 episodes, and that's only by the grace of God. So that every single word that comes out of my mouth, I've prayed over before I've said them. And I think that's the one thing that, as a female Christian leader myself, I look for as well when I listen to other podcasts. As soon as someone says something that I don't believe in as a Christian, for example, I don't want to even think about an example because I'm going off track now. But I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, is that I want to provide that biblical motivation and encouragement, not only from a leadership, I don't only want to come from a leadership perspective, but I want to come from a faith-based biblical perspective and from a Christian perspective. I want to pray for you at the end of every episode. I want to pray for you as the listener, even if I'm not talking on the microphone. But I want to meet you. I want to know your name so that I can pray for you by your first name. And so the second way that I want to empower you as a female Christian leader is by providing tactical leadership tips and strategies. That's something that I felt that I'm already doing. However, 2025, I want to be more purposeful with the content that I share. And a lot of the content that I do share are strategies and things that I've learned. But I want to connect with you all. And if you're struggling with confidence at the moment, for example, then that's the topics that I want to cover on the show. If you're struggling with your leadership abilities in some way, shape, or form, then I want to target those specific leadership skills on the show. I want to add more value to you as a listener, and I want to connect with you. I want to take you hand. I want to connect arm in arm and say, let's do this together. And so if this is something that really resonates with you, if this is something that you feel is going to bless you in 2025, then there's a couple of ways that we can work together. So number one, please leave me a review on Apple Podcast if you've not done that yet. That's a way that you can just bless me, bless the show, and push up the ranking so that Apple Podcast would actually make the show more visible to other female Christian leaders or to people searching anything in the Christian or business categories. The other way is that you can email me, support@rikawhelan.com. We can start a conversation about how we can work together. It doesn't necessarily have to be a paid thing. That's not necessarily what I mean, but I do mean that we can start a conversation. You can come and join that community which I mentioned on Facebook. The only reason I host it on Facebook is because I'm a millennial and millennials are on Facebook. So I know other generations might not necessarily be on Facebook. If you're older in one of the older generations or younger generations, I know you might use different apps, but Facebook seems to be the easiest where most people are actually on. So Women of Faith in Leadership Community is what you want to go and search there. Your other option is to book a full-on consultation with me. So if you want to book a consultation, see how we can work together. I do offer coaching that I have offered now since I've been away from my full-time job. I actually do as a leadership coach. I'm a leadership coach now. And I'm proud to say that I'm a Christian leadership coach and that I only work with female Christian leaders. I don't work with anybody else anymore. And that's another thing for 2025 is that, my business, the Workplace Culture Hub, might look completely different this year because up until this point, I've worked with everyone in leadership. But this year, I really feel called by the Lord to work with female Christian leaders only. So that's a big step. That's a huge step out in faith as well. But I do want to try and invest more of my time, more of my priority into this show and into the listeners of this show because that's where I feel I'm called the most. And in 2017, God called me into the women's ministry. And I'll never forget that when he brought the name of Women of Faith in Leadership to me as the name of my podcast, I didn't realize it immediately. It was probably maybe a day or two later that I realized that, oh, wow, this is actually the women's ministry that he called me into in 2017 for 6 years late, 6 years earlier. So for 6 years, the Lord has been preparing me for this podcast. And this is episode 93, and I'm still so stoked to be here. I'm just really thankful for each and every one of you that have joined the Facebook community and that come back week on week to come and listen to my mistakes and all the things that I have to say. So I would like to thank you all so very much, and I'd like to pray for you for 2025. Dear Lord, I come today and I bring these amazing female Christian leaders to you today. I pray, Lord, as they work through their vision for 2025, that you would be close by and that they would pray as they also create their vision. I pray, God, that they will know that their vision is not just their own vision, but it's also your vision. And that as female Christian leaders, we've got a responsibility not only towards ourselves, but towards our team and towards our families. And I pray, God, that on a daily basis, that these amazing female Christian leaders would put on their armor, put on the armor of God, and so that they would know, God, that you are with them and that you have given us authority in this world and that we are worthy as leaders because you have called us into those leadership positions. I pray, God, for them for confidence. I pray that they would overcome their self-doubt. And I pray, God, that no matter what they do today, that it will be for the glory of God. I pray this all in your mighty name. Amen. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I cannot wait to share the next episode with you, which is the final episode of the series, which has been running for over 6 months now, and that is the series Conversations About Gossip. So the very last episode of that series is coming out next week. And then after that, I'll be doing a guest episode every 4 episodes. So 3 episodes from me plus the guest episode. So if you would like to be a guest on the show, more than welcome to contact me at support@rikawhelan.com. Or if you know of somebody else, you'd like to recommend somebody else, let them contact me. And if you have a listener question, come and join the community. You can post it there. Or if you want me to actually touch on it on the show itself, you can go to womenoffaithinleadership.com and submit your leadership question there. All the best. Speak soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If this podcast blessed you in some way, the number one way you can thank me is by leaving a review. Your feedback means the world to me and lights me up every single time when I read it. And it makes me want to keep going. So please leave a review, and your review will also help other Christian women in leadership find the answers they are looking for. So whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the review section and leave that review. Then head over to womenoffaithinleadership.com and join our free Facebook community, and I look forward to engaging with you there.